You know, one of the many benefits of having a child is you get reintroduced to Cheerios. Because you give little babies Cheerios. They like to eat them. They work on their pincer grip. But then that means you get to eat them too.
Are these honey nut or regular?
No, just regular.
Okay.
Are they better with like slobber on them?
Oh, I don't. Once they go into his area, that looks like a no. You need a hazmat suit.
That's a no Cheerio zone.
He does disgusting things with it. He'll like dump water all over everything and then continue to eat it. Today he spilled milk all over his tray and then was like, "Oh, I have leftover pears. Great!" So he's like digging into like milk-soaked pears and eating them. Maybe why he threw up later. I don't know. Gotta let the kid learn, though, right?
That's right. It was probably also all the whiskey you gave him.
That
might have been it.
I mean, he's got to learn to handle his liquor, But
that pincer grip is probably part of it.
He's still new at partying,
Right.
He's been to 2 Hanukkah parties in the last week, and he thought he could handle it after the first one, but
sure. Got to hydrate. He's got to learn.
Right, gotta hydrate. Always hydrate. It's Uncle Colson's life lesson.
Yeah, so just prepare to...
It'll be great.
It'll be perfect. Yeah, so just prepare to...
Y'all motherfuckers don't watch us play throughout the year, to tell you the truth. I'm gonna be real with you, and I don't care if I get fined.
That train is off the track.
I feel like you can't just like jump through Neptune and be okay.
Just prepare to...
What the show needs is more dogs and bears and chickens and stuff.
Yeah, so just prepare to be awash in unbeatable goodness.
Welcome, Pacers fans. You are listening to the Undebeatables, your semi-weekly Pacers podcast. Today is December 5th, 2021, and this is episode 553. Coming to you from Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm your host, Joey Gaffrida, the man behind the dials and season ticket holder. This show, we're going to discuss a bunch of losing Pacers basketball against Minnesota, Atlanta, and Miami. Joining me this show are 2 of our 3 analysts, coast to coast, like buttered coasts. First, from the high school home of Jameson Brewer, Silver Spring, Maryland, it's the doctor, Jason Triplett.
What is up, Pacers fans? What is up, Undebeatables? I'm excited to play America's favorite new game show, Baby. Baby? Cat? No. Cat. Baby. Baby.
Cat or
That's
baby.
I'm going.
It's a hard game.
It is a hard game.
Shout out to you guys. Great show last week. Obviously, Harper and I were both traveling for the Thanksgiving holiday, so appreciate you guys stepping in. Joey, it was good to hear your dulcet tones back in my ears. Welcome back, buddy.
Thanks. Good to be here. I missed a long time out with the new member of the family. But
which is either a cat or a baby. We're not sure which.
It's a cat or a baby. But here's the thing. You guys were here first, so I'm back. Glad to be here with you again, Jason. Harper is still suspended. We're hoping
one extra week.
Yeah, we're hoping he submits an apology letter.
Gonna be waiting a long time.
Yeah, the enforcer doesn't really do a lot of the apology letters.
Well, I told him he's got to fax it too, which I think is slowing down the process. So,
if he can't text it, it's not happening.
No,
he can't do it on his phone.
That's right.
It's not happening.
From Indianapolis, Indiana, he's our in-house bartender mixing up the drinks and the crappy jingles, John Colson.
What is up, Pacer Nation? What is up, Undebeatables? I was going to shout out the enforcer for figuring out how to miss another week, get suspended too long to not have to talk about this damn team. But instead I'm going to shout out to Pacer Nation and my fellow Undebeatables. This is Oof. I'm not okay, team. I'm not okay.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to our friends at Mikado. We, it's listeners of the show may know, it's my in-laws own and operate the restaurant, and we've all spent, I used to work there, and we've all spent time there. John's spent time working there, a lot of time during the pandemic, and we're starting to say goodbye. It's closing down. Last day should be ended near the end of December. So if you're in town and want to get there before they're closed up, get in there. Get in there. And
best sushi in the city, and it's going away. So hurry up.
Yep. So, but we got to have a little mini reunion today, and we got in a photographer and got to shoot. There's people that have been there for 20 plus years. So fun family parties, basically what it was. But
wonderful morning, coffee and donuts and champagne and toasts and catching up and saying goodbye, and it was a really beautiful morning.
Yep. All right, so and before we get into the show, I want to remind you that this show is still brought to you by you. If you head over to patreon.com/undebeatables, you can support us for as little as $1 per month. Thanks to everyone who's done that. Helps pay the internet bills and whatnot, and we're using that to make our show a little bit better. So if you can support us, head on over there. All right, guys, I want to start this show off with some lyrics, and I want you to see if you can fill in the next lines. And it's a long day living in Reseda. There's a freeway running through the yard, and I'm a bad boy because I don't even miss her. I'm a bad boy for breaking her heart.
And I'm free falling. Free falling.
So as I mentioned up top, Pacers, they had 3 games this week. Played Minnesota, Atlanta, and Miami. Minnesota game on the road. This one day, November 29th. Malcolm Brogdon, 25 points. Sabonis had like a crazy night, 16 points, 10 assists, and 25 freaking rebounds. Duarte gets 14 points off the bench. But the Big Cat dropping 32 points on us. Game ends up Pacers losing by 2, 100-98. There's just like a sinking feeling at the end of that game. Wednesday, December 1st versus Atlanta. Again, Malcolm Brogdon. Great game. 27 points, 9 assists. Sabonis, 22 points, 10 rebounds. Trae Young, 33 points and 10 assists. And I think that counts as a win against him. But again, that game, I had a sinking feeling when he was just going after Duarte. I think Duarte did about the best he could. But this one Pacers lose again, 111-114. And the last game of the week, Friday, December 23rd versus the Miami Heat at home. Karis LeVert getting in the action this time, 27 points. Miles Turner dropping 20. And Sabonis off the bench came in a little late, about 14 points, 16 rebounds. But this time we let Duncan Robinson and Kyle Lowry do what they wanted to do. And we lose this one as well. This one, not quite as close. It was 113-104, and I think it felt worse than that. And this was the one that the team was getting booed, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, to recap the week, they lost 2 close games and then lost a third game that was not so close. They've lost 4 in a row, and I think this is particularly embarrassing for Colson, who spent a lot of show last week talking about how this was going to be okay.
I did. I'm so upset at myself. I was just so positive the last 3 weeks. just talking about how this team is better than we think it is, and man, was I wrong. This is a freaking disaster.
Can you paraphrase some of the reaction quotes from like Miles Turner and from Rick Carlisle about the
Well, okay, when you start getting it's time for us to look in the mirror quotes, which is what happens on every bad team. Things are going poorly. But I do have some quotes here from the Indianapolis Star on an actual newspaper. Miles Turner, you can do all the plays you want. You can have all these defensive schemes. You can pull the starters. This, and that, said Turner, who had 20 points and 3 blocks. It comes down to us. We're the ones on the floor. We just got to find a way. I can't just give you a magic answer or whatnot. We have to go find a way to effing win. They put expletive in, and since we're on a podcast, I'm going to put in effing, but that's what he meant. And then Carlisle said they asked if the team's confidence was hurt after being booed in the Miami game. And Carlisle said, I'm not worried about that. We don't need confidence to get angry and play hard. That's just an effing excuse. And then Karis LeVert, I thought was probably the most articulate about all of these troubles. LeVert says, nobody takes losing harder than the players. So boo or not, we're going to feel it. We feel it ourselves. The fans want to win. That's how it is. We don't feel any type of way about that. We want to win as well. So what he's saying is, hey, kind of we deserve the boos. We're going to beat ourselves up more than you guys are going to beat us up, but we understand, which I appreciated out of him. So, yeah, it's a rough week of basketball.
Yeah. I mean, I'm never a huge fan of, boo. I think booing is we've talked about this on the pod before. It's when warranted, is a useful thing for a crowd to do. And Indiana fans know good basketball when they see it, and they know really bad basketball when they see it. And I didn't watch the entire Miami game, but when the fans started booing in the Miami game, I was feeling about how they were. I felt like the effort was lackluster. And it's been that way for a few weeks now, like just not winning 50-50 balls, not creating activity, definitely not playing with a joie de basketball, and really not playing with like any sense of urgency. And I was very dour on this week, and we can get into, there were things that didn't go our way. We can thank the NBA for, yet another apology for crappy calls down the stretch and non-calls on Chris Duarte, who's going in for a game-winning layup and gets Kevin Huerter commits aggravated assault, and there's no whistle. But I was buoyed at the end of the Miami game, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so there's a possession late in the game. Sabonis has the ball under the rim, gets hammered 45 times, and there's no call. He's very upset, but runs back, plays defense. I think it's LeVert out top, just refuses to fight over a screen, putting Sabonis in a dilly of a pickle to have to defend Trae Young or his man or a third guy, because somehow there was like even further confusion on the defense. They give up an easy layup. Timeout. I think it was the 50th timeout that Rick Carlisle had called in the first 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, and immediately starts just yelling at Sabonis starts yelling at LeVert, like, what the hell are you doing? And they got into it for a little bit. And after that, I felt like the guys actually like kind of gave a shit and put forth a little bit of effort. I mean, obviously they didn't rally to win that game or anything, but at least that was the first sign that I saw that somebody like gave a shit, that they were like getting their asses beat every night. We were passing around texts earlier this week about the Pacers leading the league and apologies from the NBA. And I made a joke that we're also leading the league in moral victories this season, which is absolutely the case. it seems like every game we're like, oh, well, but we fought hard. We're in these games. If you look at our plus minus, we're positive. We're the only losing team with a positive plus minus.
Right.
That means we're actually playing well. Colson will dazzle us with statistics that indicate that we're better than our record. And all of that stuff is fine on paper, but like at the end of the day, like, yeah, Miles Turner is right. You got to go out there and just do it. Like, you got to take the game. You can't like just expect that the other team is going to give it to you. And what's happening this season is games are being taken from us in the last 5 minutes because we are not up to the challenge. Like, they're fold under defensive pressure, don't apply enough defensive pressure, all this stuff. Like, we're horrible in the crunch time. And we've had plenty of ends to figure out how to play in the clutch, and this team is not good at it at all. I think we're negative 34 in crunch time minutes on the season.
And we saw a stat during, I think, the Miami game that the Pacers are first in the league in first half scoring and last in second half scoring, which, I guess averages out to a mediocre team, but it means if they've not blown out a team in the first half, they're just not going to win. And
Which is what is being proven out.
right, yeah.
Because we lose every close game. Jason, I think you were too kind with everything you just said. I think this is a freaking disaster, and I think heads need to start rolling. Like, I think it's time to start talking about who's responsible for this, whether we're talking about the team, whether we're talking about the coaching staff, whether we're talking about the front office. This is despicable. I spent the entire first 20 games talking about how we're better than our record. I'm with the fans booing them because I'm watching guys run around 3 screens and being wide open. Like, I feel like we're good defensively for long stretches. I feel like we're doing really great stuff offensively. There's some I really do feel like this team has better execution for stretches than it had all of last year. It seems more disciplined in certain moments, but it can't hang in when things get tough. And I don't understand what that's about. And if it's about the personality of the team, it's got to change. If it's about the coaching staff, it's got to change. If it's about the guys that brought in these players, if it's about top to bottom toughness, then that's got to change. Because this team is filled with talented players. We're getting out-battled. Well, I was watching that Atlanta game, right? And, like, they were without their head coach, Nate McMillan. He was gone for that game. They pull up from, like, the logo all the time, which if it was my team, I'd be distressed by. This is a terrible shot. It goes in way more often than it should. And, you made a point that, we would have been in a different situation if the refs had actually called the foul on Chris Duarte. He also, the league has also apologized to us for not giving him the foul in the three-pointer against LA. So that's 2 wins we might have had. But again, that's just us being in these situations against teams we should beat. We're playing against Miami without their 2 best players. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo aren't there. And we're at home. There's no reason to be down 20 in that game. There's just not. And you can say we got a little bit motivated after Sabonis, yelled at somebody. But, like, why are we here? Who's to blame for this? Who's responsible? Because this isn't fun to watch. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be competitive, and you're going to lose in the end. That's just what it's going to be every game, which is a team you would like to watch if you're going for the lottery. But that's not what the organization told us we were going to do this year.
Well, I don't think they're acting like, the conversations aren't, they sound, Carlisle's mad, he's not saying, oh, this is all going to plan. Like, this isn't our plan. Like, my assumption was from all the, the changes, we didn't have a whole lot of personnel change, or not a lot of player changes, but like the whole coaching staff changed. And I don't know, I just like, oh, sweet, we got a big upgrade. We're good. And we're worse. We're like way worse than we were.
We played better defense than we did last year. There's that.
I mean, we do until the last, until it gets into clutch minutes, and then we're one of the worst teams in the league. Like,
Yeah.
I was trying to figure this out earlier this week. Like, I mean, and we talked about this, ad nauseum over the years. Like you have said it really good, Colson. Like we have a lot of very talented basketball players on this team and a bunch of good guys, but we don't have any nasty guys. We don't have anybody that is like that refuses to that will not let this team lose. You know what I mean? Like there's nobody that will take the game by the scruff of the neck and be like, "No, I'm not letting us lose this game." Who is the leader on this team? Who is the guy? Is it Brogdon? Is Brogdon the guy?
I guess it's Brogdon.
We still don't know the answer to this question, which
It
is
might
what
be
we went
Brogdon.
into
He's
last
the president.
offseason wanting to know, right? Is it Sabonis' team? Is it Karis LeVert is maybe our most talented player? I don't know.
Miles Turner's been there the longest. He probably should get it just for tenure, but he's not it.
And the fact now that over the past 3 seasons, 2.25 seasons, I guess, we've had essentially the same personnel, and it's multiple and 3 different coaching staffs, and we're seeing the same trends. It's like we're watching the same basketball team that we watched 2 years ago, right? Under Nate McMillan.
Yeah.
The styles change a little bit. We're a little bit more defensive minded under McMillan. We're a little more haphazard under Bjorkgren. We have better schemes all around against Carlisle, but
we seem coached around Carlisle, but we're still getting the same results. In fact, worse results.
Right. So to me, it's a player personnel problem that needs to get shaken up, and I mean that goes hand in hand with the front office, right? Because the front office is who puts all these dudes together, right? But I just think that like Brogdon, is a guy that I really respect. He plays good basketball.
Great shooter.
But it's like he's a robot out there. Like he doesn't... It's almost as if, I was telling Jill earlier, it's like watching a team of 5 individuals play basketball. Like there's no connection between these guys at all.
It's interesting. I was... at the Mikado party, I was talking to May, and she said, we start 2 centers. We're one of the few teams in the league that do that. And that puts us, in some difficulties on the defensive end. But honestly, we don't make anyone suffer on the offensive end. And I know she's a little old school. She would like a little bit more banging down in the post. But she's like, there's always a mismatch. Because either Sabonis or Miles Turner has essentially a small forward guarding them. Why aren't we demolishing them in the post? This should be our advantage. We should demolish everybody on the boards and everybody in the post. I would think of like the Lakers or the Spurs. Lakers with Bynum and Pau Gasol. Their interior passing between big guys. Or David Robinson and Tim Duncan. The way that they just made that Twin Tower thing something you couldn't penetrate. And we in a league that has gone small, if we're going to run 2 bigs, should have an impact like that. But we don't seem to. Sabonis is shooting more threes than he ever has in his life. So is Miles Turner. We're hanging out on the perimeter. We're getting beat on these pick and rolls. We're getting beat on everything. If you're not going to make somebody suffer on the offensive end for being small, then why are you running 2 bigs? I have been a huge proponent of the and in fact, and we can talk about this in the next show or this show, but I've gone into the plus minus things again, as I always do, the 5-man rotes and all that stuff. Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis on the floor together look pretty good, but we're not using it to the advantage we need to be using it to. And I don't know if that's not possible in the modern NBA and I'm just not smart enough, or whether we just don't have enough imagination to make it happen, or we just need to trade one of these guys or trade. I don't know. I'm ready to talk about anything, Jason. Just give me any option.
Like I think that looking at like these statistics and whatnot, like in a macro view, like at a average from game to game, or how a lineup does like over the course of a game, like we look fine. Like on paper, this team is fine. But you and I know, and Joey knows too, and that NBA games are won in the last 5 minutes. Like, good teams play well in the last 5 minutes, and they close quarters, and bad teams don't. Like, if you look at our, it's so crazy. None of these statistics meet the eyeball test, but like, if you look at like our rebounding percentage, even in the clutch minutes, we're like, okay. Like, we get a decent number of the rebounds. But I guarantee you that the most important rebounds that need to be gotten, our team does not get.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know how many times I've watched a game of this team over the last however many years now, and like, there's a key possession where we need to get a stop. We play great defense for 24 seconds, force the team into a bad shot, and then do not secure the rebound. And then they get a bucket, and the game's over. And it's like, that happens an inordinate amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And so we got to figure out how to play. Like that is, why super duper stars are super duper stars. Because they show up in those clutch minutes. Like, LeBron James kicked our ass last week because he's LeBron James, and he knows, like, all right, now's when I need to turn it on. I'm going to turn it on. And, like, we just don't have that.
No
like,
one on the Pacers knows
psychology or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. You mentioned that Brogdon thing is sort of a personality trait. Yeah, he's so smooth, and you know exactly where you're getting from. You're getting great shooting percentage. He makes the right pass. He makes the right decisions. He cuts to the basket when he needs to. But I feel more confident when McConnell's on the floor because he's got a little bit of nasty in him. You feel like he's going to maybe foul somebody too hard or throw himself into a crowd a little too hard. Like, yeah, Brogdon's almost a little too mechanical. And that's why I think Coach has been playing Brogdon at 2 a bunch and letting McConnell run the floor. But now McConnell's injured for weeks, they said. Not days, but weeks. So your fiercest guy, the guy that Coach trusts with a little bit of nasty, is now out. We just had a new, I think Tuesday it came out that TJ Warren is still out for at least till the end of the year, so we're not going to see him until at least January. There's no one coming to save us, Jason. Like, this is just, it's getting bad, and it's not going to get better with the personnel that we have on this team right now. We can have LeVert or Miles Turner or whoever say it's time to look in the mirror, but that's what Detroit's been saying all season. I didn't think we were going to be Detroit, and now we are.
Well, I mean, there is something to be said for, like, teams do have to go through crises and have, player-only meetings, and sometimes that solves some issue, right? Like, some latent issue that is, being dealt with passive-aggressively, and then we get everybody in a room and, like, let's just air this out, and now we can play ball or whatever. I don't know if that's the issue on this team. Like, I don't know that there's anybody that's going to point to somebody else and say, like, you're not doing your job or whatever. They're all too nice guys.
Joey, do you remember the last season of Paul George's career where we turned a corner every 3 weeks?
Of his Pacers career? Or I guess that was the same thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was the end of his basically the end of him.
Yeah, we turned a corner every game, right? Like,
yeah, and do you remember how that season ended up?
Did we make the playoffs?
Yeah, but barely, and it was awful and miserable.
Right. Is that one of those ones where we get to the playoffs and then we're like, can we just like,
can we not be
concede?
Yeah.
Like, everyone's got better stuff to do.
We've talked about this. One of the lowest home attendance crowds in the league booing their team because you're right. Indiana fans know basketball, and they know when you're dogging it on defense and you can't cover it up, and they're going to call you out on it. And they know if you're not boxing out, and that's why you get booed. They don't boo missed shots. They boo lack of effort. And that means if this team is getting booed, that means that we have a really bad problem. If a team that is 9-16 lacks effort and thinks that they've already earned something, we're in trouble. And so I think everything's on the table. Yeah, I'm not sure that front of the house movement changes anything, But I'm just saying everything should be on the table at this point. This is a freaking disaster.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I mean, we're breaking up Sabonis and Turner, right? Like, that's the most obvious thing.
But is that really the solution?
I don't know, but it is not the answer. Having them together is not the answer.
It seems to me like there are two best players. We've got Miles Turner is our best defensive player by far. He's the one who runs all the defense. The on and off numbers of him in the defense is we're a top 5 defense in the league when he's on the floor, and we're a bottom 5 when he's off the floor. Sabonis, incredibly gifted passer and got great touch, big man, but like he's not much of a defensive stalwart at all. He pretty much gets worked a lot. And so, who do you want down there? A generationally gifted passing big man or a generationally good blocking? And, he's the best shot blocker the Pacers have ever had. There's a reason why this team hasn't figured out which one to get rid of. Because together they're Hakeem Olajuwon. And separately, they're not enough. And so I'm not sure that breaking them up is the answer. I mean, I kind of think focusing on them more is the answer. I know it's a guards league nowadays, but we don't have the depth we need without TJ Warren, especially if TJ McConnell goes down. Wanamaker and Torrey Craig aren't making the difference right now. They aren't. As much as I like their toughness, it's not enough to get us wins right now. So maybe we're just too shallow. I don't know. I agree with you that will be the trade that the franchise makes. It was going to be one of those big guys at the trade deadline. I think that's probably a lack of vision. These two big guys together are the best lineups we have. And instead of accentuating that, we're turning these guys into 3-point shooters and putting them in pick and rolls to get burned. And that's a lack of imagination on the coaching staff. And I'm mad at everybody.
I do think this is a good time to put a pin in it while you're stewing, I guess. So, if you can hold that energy until Thursday,
maybe I'll just have a nap on Thursday, or maybe just a hard cry.
A hard cry. Oh boy. Well, yeah. While you're having your hard cry, the Pacers are going to be playing some basketball this week.
Are they?
They're going to try. They're going to fulfill their contractual obligation to show up, wear the same uniform, and exist on the same court. Monday, December 6th, against the Washington Wizards. Pacers going to try to get some revenge there. Continuing the ridiculous homestand. So all of the games this week are at home. Wednesday versus the New York Knickerbockers, and Friday against the Dallas Mavericks. Even Ethan is not excited about our chances this week.
So these are all at home, right?
Yes. We don't have a road game until we go to Milwaukee on December 15th.
All right. Well, this was heartening. Appreciate all your thoughts and concerns. We'll be back with you on Thursday.
You know?
We are here for you. We'll be back with you on Thursday, breaking down, everything that's going on in greater detail, or we might just do something else. I don't know.
Just stop talking about basketball. So, Joe, we've been doing this for 8 or 9 years. I don't know, or 35 years. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember being very upset and very distraught lots of times, hitting panic buttons.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember feeling like this resigned that the season is already over. Like, I'm just really... This is a really depressing place. And we've watched some mediocre teams over the last few years. I didn't feel like this is a mediocre team. I feel like this is a team that's better than this. And I'm just... And this coaching staff is better than this. And this front office is better than this. And I'm just really, really disheartened.
Well, I'll leave you with this. Is I've been playing with an anagram maker, and I've been doing some anagrams of the Pacers' names, and it's been making me feel better than watching the games. I'm gonna give you some words, and you need to tell me which player this is.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Comma, bung, comma, bung lord.
Comma Bung Lord.
Bung, as in like smoke a bong.
Okay, Bong Lord.
And here, I'm gonna keep going. These are the
Malcolm
same person.
Brogdon.
Yes. Okay, you win A, and I'm gonna tell you the rest of them because I love them so much. Cram bongo mold. Oregon comb mold. Normal comb dog. And I think maybe my favorite, carbon gold mom. I love it.
Comma Bong Lord. That's definitely
Pretty solid.
Yes.
This is better than the basketball.
Lance Stevenson is Canteens help son. It's true. Can't argue with that.
Stay hydrated.
You gotta stay hydrated.
That's right. That's Uncle John's advice.
And if you can't remember stay hydrated, just remember that Canteens help son. All right. Well, if you've got some good anagrams, send them to me on Twitter. We are at Undebeatables. We're on Facebook.com/The Undebeatables. Our website is TheUndebeatables.com. There's a contact form there. You can send us a message and a good old-fashioned email. Shout out at TheUndebeatables.com. And you can fax your complaints right to John Harper.
For our once and always Hall of Fame coach and the architect Donnie Walsh. I'm just so angry. Everything's out of order. Turn out the lights. The party's over.
Wow.
Look, I really like all these guys. I don't want them to hear that I'm mad at them. And I don't want them to hear me saying, look in the mirror, because that sounds pretty stupid. How about just go get a goddamn rebound? How about that?
Miles Turner is reel my rents. I don't know what that means.
Like a fishing reel.
Yeah, like REEL.
That's what a landlord says. I'm reeling in my rents.
Yeah,
Right.
there you go.
Or your parents that are on the lam.
Bob and Joyce back.
Reel in my
They're
rents.
on the loose.
Anyway, this is going to keep me entertained for hours.
Good.